Recently, I had this idea that I want to find a t-shirt pattern that I can crochet, but using different yarns. And these are all going to be the same weight yarn to follow the pattern, but I want to mix it up as far as the types, like cotton versus wool or something like that, or maybe different colors, like solid colors versus variegated versus tonals, and maybe even do some stripes in there, something like that. And I thought this would be a great way to explore a little bit more about how different yarns work up and how different colors work together and all of those kind of different things. So I thought this would be a really fun project. But the first step to this project is to find a pattern that's going to fit the needs. And I thought it would be fun to kind of go a little shopping with me. Now, I've already figured out that there are certain criteria I want to meet when I am looking for this particular t-shirt pattern. One, it is going to be a lightweight t-shirt that I can wear in the warmer months, because there are many more warmer months here in Phoenix than there are colder months. So I want, if I'm going to build out my wardrobe with at least 2 or 3 different garments that are going to be very similar, then I want them to be something that I can wear more frequently in the seasonal months that we have. So for that reason, I'm going to pick fingering weight. And I already have a lot of fingering weight yarn. So I want to kind of lean on the fingering weight. The next thing is that I don't want it to have a whole lot of holes.
Holes, clusters of holes.
A lot of crochet patterns will use bigger stitches like double crochets or treble crochets or something that creates more mesh in it. And because I don't necessarily want to have to wear something underneath these, I want to go with something that is more solid. So it can't be really holey. The overall design that I'm going for is going to be something that's a little bit more basic. So not something that is decorative in the stitch. It might have some decorative elements along the neckline or the sleeves or something like that. But overall, I want the yarn to be able to speak for itself. And different sort of stitches, while if they're all done in a solid yarn, can be very beautiful. If I'm going to practice with some different things like variegated yarns, then I want something that's going to be able to allow the yarn to shine as well. Then a couple of just minor points. I want it to have sleeves. I'm not a big, sleeveless kind of person, and I want it to be a true t-shirt. And I don't want it to be crop. I'm kind of past that age where crop looks real good on me, so...
No, I'm too shy to wear a crop top.
We're going to go with something that is more of a traditional length. Now, traditional could vary depending on the styles. It could be something that when you're wearing, the high-waisted pants that are more fashionable right now, it still hits the high-waisted pants. But if you're wearing the mid-rise or the low-rise, then it's probably looks more crop. We're going to go with kind of an average length. And most t-shirt designs... I'm not going to say that. I was going to say most t-shirt designs you can add length as you go, but if it's worked from the bottom up, it's a little bit more challenging to do that. So let's go browsing, and I'll kind of walk you through a little bit how I look for patterns, and we'll see what I discover and see if we can find one that meets the requirements and that I'm going to select to work on this project. Okay, here we are on Ravelry. If you're not familiar with Ravelry, I've got some tutorials that will kind of walk you through what Ravelry is all about, but I would definitely take a look at it. It is definitely kind of it is for sure that first place that I go when I am looking for a pattern idea. And I'll show you a little bit as I go, kind of just what it is that I'm looking for, but I definitely have tutorials on that, and I'll actually link the entire playlist so that you can see all of my Ravelry tutorials. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to patterns over here. I do have this selected as crochet. Now I could look at what's hot right now, but because I'm looking for something that's a little bit more specific, I'm going to go to advanced search, and then over here I'm going to select clothing. And I want to look for tops that are tees. You can see there's 3,777 tees in here. Now, one thing I want to let you know, I don't care if it's a paid pattern. I'm totally okay paying for a pattern as long as it meets the criteria that I am looking for. Now, in addition, I want to narrow this down a little bit more so that it sort of kind of gets rid of some of the things that I'm not looking for. First of all, I'm going to select gender. We want this to be for females. It could also be unisex. That would be okay too, I think. And then we're going to select age. We definitely want it to be for adults. And you can see as we go, the options start to get smaller and smaller. So I may have to kind of back out of some of these at some point, but we're going to definitely start with these. Then we're going to come down here to fingering because we definitely want it to be that fingering weight. We've already decided that that is the weight yarn that I'm going to be using, so we have to look for fingering weight patterns. And we'll start looking. So we can kind of quickly glance. One of the things I didn't mention, I don't want something with a high neck. So this one right here is not going to work for me. This one is mesh, not going to work for me. This one, let's take a look here. Courtney tee. This is a cute pattern. It's got a little bit of a pocket, so I could add a little extra detail. It is a paid pattern. Looks like it is about $8.74. It uses the fingering weight yarn between 1,300 and 2,800 yards approximately. Of course, that's going to depend on the size that I'm making. That's where that variation comes in. And you can see some examples here. I look for examples on different body sizes, but I also look for examples of different color patterns. So I can see here, like this is probably a little bit closer to my body size. It might be a little bit bigger than I am, you know, so I'm kind of trying to get an example of how this might look on my particular body type. Now here I can see this is a solid color one. You know, she didn't do a colored accent pocket, but a lot of these are doing colored accent pockets. This is, and I could of course absolutely leave that pocket off if I didn't want it on there. I can look at this and say there were 13 projects completed with this. I do like the fact that this is not wholly, and it appears to be a pretty solid, it's not mesh at all. I'm not sure if this is I don't think it's a single crochet. I'm not sure. It might be a fancier, like I don't know. So it looks to be fairly easy. So we will definitely kind of keep this one in mind. That is definitely a top contender. I'm going to open this in a separate window. This one's not bad. It does have a cute little collar. I'm not sure though that for what I'm looking for, I want a collar. So I'm going to pass on that one. This one's sleeveless, so that won't work. This one is cute, but it's got too much detail down here, and that's not what I'm looking for. This one we can't quite see overall. Okay, this is interesting. It looks like it's got a V-neck, but maybe she's wearing this backwards here. Problem. This one's in Spanish. That won't work for us. The Delphinium tee. This has a little bit of a texture to it. It's a little bit more mesh than maybe I'm looking for, I think. And it's interesting because she has the mesh going down to where the bust line is, and then no, that's actually, she's just wearing a camisole, so it is actually mesh all the way through. Yeah, I don't think I want something that has that mesh in it. Long sleeve, button up. Let's see, how about this ladybird? It also has mesh. That's the challenge with crochet, is a lot of crochet is going to have more of a mesh design to it, as opposed to like a knit pattern, which isn't going to have quite as much mesh to it. I am clearing some of these just to see if we expand it out a little bit, what else I get. So now I just have T, crochet, and fingering, which open this up quite a bit. This Vesuvius T, okay, this still has a little bit of mesh and a little bit of a fancier design. And again, I think I'm kind of trying to shy away from this. This would I like this T, although I don't like the crop. I could certainly add it, expand it because it's top down, so I could just add more rows. Mesh, that one has a collar. That one's super cute actually, but not what I'm looking for this time around. So we'll just kind of quickly go through these. This would be a nice one again if it was more of a solid, but it's a possibility that you could do this as a solid. You don't have to do color changes. But again, I'm really looking for something that's fairly basic. Here's one with some cap sleeves. Has a little bit of detail in there, but not too much. Let's see what, this is with kind of a speckled yarn. Not bad. Not my favorite though. This one has the lace top again. This one's pretty and I really like this top part. But I think overall, even if I left this part out, I think it's a little too dressy for what I'm looking for. I really want something that's pretty casual. Oh, that's too mesh. This one's not bad. Has a little bit of detail up at the collar, it looks like. It's interesting. It looks like it might be, because there's a little bit of a seam look to the back there. I'm kind of liking this one. See what it looks like in different prints. Well, that's a little busy. It looks like she worked it back and forth. So she just changed direction of each row instead of going around and around. Now her collar is a little bit wider than like hers. I like the narrower collar, so I'd have to really focus on this. It looks like it's almost a raglan design. I don't see any, that one looks way too big. I don't see any terribly large, that one's not bad. She's got bigger, she's more well endowed than many of these other models. And I like to see that. There's one that, yeah, that one's not bad. All right, this is a contender, I think. This is a fingering. It takes between 750, I guess that's a small one. It's super small. 2,500. It's an adult circular yoke in the round. Positive ease, top down. This is a $7 pattern. I think I like this one. We'll open that and weigh that option. I don't think I like this. I mean, I might like it for something else, but not for this. I have seen this one many times, and I actually have this one favorited. I love the idea of this one, but I'm not sure that the puff stitch on the sleeves is what I'm looking for right now. Here's one in just a solid, well, not solid, it's variegated, but Yeah, I think that might be just a little bit more than I want to do right now. It's a cute pattern though, I really like it. Those sleeves are a little too big. This one looks like it might be a little too mesh. Yep. Although, mesh wouldn't be bad in the summer when it gets hot. Enid T. Let's check you out. Okay, so this has a little bit of a design at the top, which again is cute, but it's not what I'm looking for right now. Shorebrook T. Oh, that one's definitely got a pattern to it. We need to go down here. Oh no. I was going to go down and change it to all English, but I don't want to start over, so we'll just keep going. Riviera Stripe Tee. This one's not bad, and I could probably, well, let's see. It is adult, bottom up. It is bottom up, so that makes it a little bit harder to modify the length. I'm sure you don't have to do the stripes if you don't want to, but those stripes are nice. Gives me, see, here's one without too many of the stripes. There's not a lot of overall model examples on this one. So this is seamed on the side. Not a bad option, but eh. Delphinium, no, we looked at that one. Orchard Tea. Huh. Can't tell what that is. That looks very interesting. Let's see here. Bottom up, oversized, positive stripes work, Tunisian. Okay, I can't do Tunisian yet. I have not developed that skill as of the moment. Oh, too high of a neckline. Not gonna work for me. I have actually made this one, and this one is not a bad option, but I really don't want that shell design. That has a little bit of a shell design that I'm not going for right now. Basic stitches, like boring. Boring, but the activity is going to be in the learning how different yarns work. This is an exercise in just learning some stuff. Ooh, this must be a really old pattern. All right, so I've gotten some options. I don't want to go through too many more of these because it looks like we're kind of tapping out on good options from here. Most of these are getting to be really old, or they're not reliable patterns. You know, if it's inside of a crochet magazine, you know, it's not always something that I can work with. So I'm going to look on Etsy now. So if we go to Etsy, and close out some of that, and we'll say crochet t-shirt patterns. Now, you can see I've actually hearted some of these because I've been looking at I like t-shirts. I wear a lot of t-shirts, so I'm always looking for good t-shirt patterns. And let's look at this one. I think this one's too meshy. Yeah, a little bit too much mesh in there. This one, I think also. Not bad. Kind of like that neckline. It does look like it's worked. Nope, it's seamed down the side. I'd rather not have it seamed down the side, but I'm not opposed to that either. This one doesn't necessarily negate my... I mean, this isn't a true sleeve, but it's not bad either. However, I'm not sure how that design is going to look. That's an interesting stitch. Now, one thing I do a lot is if I see a pattern that I'm curious about, and Etsy's not great about giving you all of the information that Ravelry will, so I'll actually come back to Ravelry and do a search for it to see if maybe I missed it somehow. Nope, that's a different one. Hand Jan Crochet. Okay, so here's Hand Jan. See if we can find her pattern. She has many of them. So I'll kind of look for that pattern that I'm looking for on here. And I could probably try and sort this by T. There it is. See here, she calls it the mystical T. So this is a top down, but it is also seamed. Not sure how that works. Worked flat. There is a free version of it available. There are 10 projects already made. Not a lot, but that's not a bad tee. I might actually like that one. Yeah, let me see if I can open up this stitch, the pattern, and see what stitch she uses on this. We are looking for special stitches. There's a video tutorial. That's a nice touch. Half double crochet. That's not a bad stitch to work with. Third loop and front loop only. Okay, so there are some specialties, and what I would look for on this is none of these particular options give me different colors to kind of say, how does that work? It might be worth doing a sample of it, doing like a gauge, since I don't have to pay for it. It might be nice to kind of do a gauge swatch, because this, with the cap sleeves actually would be a nice, it's a simple, might work up quickly. I am probably going to do a gauge swatch on this one just to see how it works up. And I might do that in a different color, something that's got some variegation or some color to it. Here's a nice striped tee. This looks like a pretty basic. Now the other hard part with, oh, you know what I didn't check on this one? Oh, it is fingering. Okay, we're good. The other hard part with Etsy is it's harder to search for those criteria, such as does this use fingering weight yarn? I want to narrow those down. This shirt pattern uses single crochet stitch with only a few rows of half double crochet. There's some shaping around the neckline. Uses cotton wool yarn. Yeah, see, she doesn't tell me what size yarn this uses, and it looks like it's probably a DK if I had to guess. It looks a little bit heavier. So I'm going to say no on that one. I like it when you can actually search and get the actual weight of the yarn. This one I have seen before, and I'm trying to remember. So this uses True Boo. True Boo is definitely a DK, I believe, because I have some right here. Yes, DK. I was right. I was right. I was right. This one I've also seen before, and it's a little bit too meshy. I want to zoom in. Yeah, that's going to be too meshy. Yeah. So this is basically kind of how I search for patterns. And I'll just go through and look for those kind of things. See, that's off the shoulder. I'm not big on the off the shoulder. Little past the age where off the shoulder can really feel comfortable for me. This one also looks like it's probably a DK. Top down raglan style. Yep, DK. And DK is a great summer yarn for most locations. It is just not the kind of yarn, I mean, you know, I might not mind having one or two of those in my wardrobe, but generally speaking, I'm really going for something that is a lot lighter weight. This is worsted. Oh, well, no, we don't want worsted. This one can be either a tank or have sleeves. That's interesting. Category 3, DK. DK is much more popular than fingering, and that's because it works up faster. Fingering is definitely a labor of love. I have seen this one, and it keeps coming up, and this band in the middle, the 3 different textures, I just don't like that. It kind of drives me a little bonkers. Not my favorite. Well, as I kind of go through these, I think I am really leaning towards, oops, I opened the images and not the actual patterns. Well, that's a bummer. But I'm kind of leaning towards this one here. The t-shirt with the, oh, maybe that one. Oh, I'm going to have to do some evaluating and figure out which one of these I like the best. Because I really do want something that is versatile, that I can wear on a regular basis. That can work across a wide variety of yarn choices. So I think I'm going to narrow that down and select one and get started on that this month. And of course, I'm going to keep you updated on the progress with those. We'll see. We'll see what we're going to do with it. I think the first one's just going to be a solid color, really super basic, just to kind of get me to understand the pattern and learn the pattern and feel comfortable with it. And hopefully, fingers crossed, I don't get bored doing a simple stitch. We'll see. And if you have any great suggestions for a t-shirt pattern, let me know, because I'm going to solidify this in the next week. So I'd love to get your opinions if you do know of any, but otherwise, let's get going on this. And like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and make sure you tune in Tuesdays and Saturdays. Not every other Tuesday, but every Saturday. It's all good. I'm letting myself off the hook. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you later.